You have found Messy in the Middle with Jeanie. I am Jeanie. I am in the middle. Middle of what? I am in the middle. I'm middle aged. I am in middle America. I am middle class or middle income. And, you know, it's messy. Life is just messy. I'm going to take off my glasses because I can see the reflection of the light in my glasses. So I'm going to take that off because that's kind of distracting and awkward. So tonight's video is going to be kind of short. It's been a long week and I am pretty exhausted. But I wanted to make sure that I didn't miss a day or a week, I guess, because I do a video a week. So I wanted to make sure that I didn't miss this week's video because if anybody is actually watching every week, which I haven't even looked at the analytics to see if that's happening, but if anybody is actually watching it every week, I don't want to set people up for disappointment. So here I am. I have yet to find a topic when I have looked at the analytics, because it's not that I've never looked at them. I have looked at them. I have yet to find an overwhelmingly I have yet to find a topic of a video that people are just super into. I've gotten more likes on the videos about Isaac, and I think that, ultimately I would really love to do some more videos about him. And I will plan to do that. I don't know. Other than that, there's not really been a video that seems to have really caught everybody's attention. So, I am going to talk today and tell you about some good news that we received this week and about a really fun weekend that we had last week. So, last Saturday and Sunday. So if you are from Colorado, most people, I'm just throwing things. P.S. I'm finishing up the blankets, finally. If you are from Colorado, you probably know about Casa Bonita. And even if you are not from Colorado, you probably know about Casa Bonita. And if you don't, if you just Google it, there's all kinds of stuff out there. It was the gentleman that put together the cartoon South Park are the ones that own it now, and they have revamped it, and we decided that we were going to go take a look, and it was really great. We always loved the place. We used to take the kids there when they were younger. It wasn't terribly expensive, and it was an experience along with a meal. And even though the food was terrible back in the day, maybe some people liked it, but most people did not. And I think one of the things that it's most famous for is that its food was awful. It's always been kind of a neat place, and it was a place that I went with my family when I was growing up. And then we took the kids when we were growing up. My husband used to go with his family when he was growing up. And did I just say when we were growing up? I'm talking about the kids when they were growing up. Goodness, I said it's been a long week, right? So anyway, we've just always really enjoyed it. And so we finally got to go back after it was, since it's been revamped. This is our first time, and they did a really great job. I feel like they kept it what it has always been. But it's a cleaner, kind of brighter, more kind of welcoming and not so dingy version of what it was. It definitely, for those of you who have not been there, you will definitely notice the absence of the musty smell. With it being, running for so long. I mean, they opened it in the 70s. So running it for so long and it not really ever being like completely redone. You used to walk in and it kind of had like a dirty, musty smell. Um, and so now it does not have that anymore. So for those of you who have not been, you have that to look forward to. It does not have that anymore. And the shows are announced every, I think, 20 minutes is the dive show, and then there's puppet shows and all of that, and they announce them over the speaker, so you don't have to guess when they're happening, which is kind of nice, or try to kind of watch a schedule or anything like that. So that was kind of nice. I don't remember them doing that before. Maybe they did, but I don't think so. I will say that the number one thing, like I said, that they were kind of known for before. Not really sure why they have the hiccups all of a sudden. I think one of the biggest things they were known for before, like I said, was the food and how not awesome it was. And the food is excellent. I will say that it is a bit more pricey than I remember it being. I feel like when we used to go with our kids, we used to pay, and remember, there were 6 children, 5 of them that actually ate. And, as the years went on and the numbers dwindled, it kind of fluctuated a little bit. But I would say what we paid for dinner for the 2 of us is about what we used to pay for all of us to go. And I would say with the 4 youngest ones, probably, and Isaac wasn't able to eat. He was too fed, so he didn't ever eat. But that meant usually like a regular. So if we all went, it was like 3 adult meals and then 2 kids meals for a while, and then eventually they became large enough to eat an adult meal. But then that was about the time that we did go with our oldest daughter. We went with our oldest son a couple of times, and then he kind of aged out of doing that with us and moved out and all of that. And then same with our oldest daughter. She kind of aged out of going with us and kind of moved on. And so slowly as the younger ones got to the point where they were eating adult meals, the older ones were off on their own or weren't going with us, doing stuff with their friends or whatever. And so I would say that it's held pretty steady what we used to pay when we went. And definitely we paid the same for just he and I as we typically did for the whole family before. So just be aware of that. It is more expensive. However, the food is way better and tastes great. It's quick. It is so fast. We did not have time to finish. We got some chips and queso as a kind of an appetizer because we thought, well, we'll be sitting here, for a little bit because it's a big place and there's a lot of people in there. And it wasn't super cramped and crammed full of people. It was nice spacing. The tables were spaced out nicely. They do it on a reservation system, so they're only going to let you in when it's your time. I will tell you, don't be late because they won't let you in. If you get there late and it is more than If they say your reservation says 11, you better be there by like 10:45, because if you do not get there by 10:45, they're going to probably start letting people in early, and if you're not there at 11, you're out of luck. You're not getting in. So, which is nice for those of us who are on time. But back in the day, I would have struggled with that because with all the kids, you never get out of the house on time when you have that many people to get out of the house. Are you kidding? And so, yeah, definitely plan ahead for that. Do not be late, and do not think that they have a policy like the doctor's office where as long as you're there within 10 minutes of your appointment time, they're going to let you in. That will not be happening. And they do small groups at a time, so it's not even like you have the chance that if you were a little bit late, you might get in on the tail end of the line, because that's not a thing either. There's not that many people going in at once. It probably took them all of, I don't know, between 5 and 10 minutes to get everybody who was in the line checked through. So, I mean, they're quick. So be aware of that. Be aware of the increased cost. Not that you probably couldn't look that piece up online. I was thinking that there would be more South Park stuff, and I'm not really a South Park fan. Sorry for any of you who are. I'm just not. It's not really my thing. But I was a little bit thinking that there would be more influence from that there because it is the writers. So kind of thought maybe they would have more of themselves in there or of their show in there. And there wasn't. I didn't even see one thing that was South Park. And I know they have a little statue of one of the main characters. And again, I don't watch it, so I don't really know. Somewhere I read in an article somewhere that they have a statue of one of the main characters, but I didn't see that. So I don't know, maybe in a different place, but we walked around and, kind of looked around. The gift shop is still in the same place. The arcade is in the same place, although the arcade is cleaned up and it's laid out differently. And it has more, it has some newer games, and it's more brightly lit. It used to seem a little skeevy, and it doesn't have that skeevy look to it anymore. But there was that. And then we did, walk through Black Bart's cave, and that did change a little bit. I'll leave you to go through it so you can know what happens there. But that did change a little bit. And we kind of went down into the mine area and wandered around in there so we could see what that looks like. And yeah, it was neat. It was neat to see. We had spent so much time there when the kids were growing up that we were anxious to see what it was like now. And we were not disappointed. It was very much like we remember. Like I said, it was a little cleaner and a little brighter, like fresher. Not brighter like lighting wise. I mean, maybe a little bit brighter lighting wise, but I feel like it was not. It still is a little bit dark. But not, I feel like before it was kind of uncomfortably dark, where now it's not that way. Now it's, ambiance dark, I think it's just right. And then they had a little stage where a guy was standing and singing. And so we were serenaded the whole time we were eating, which was really lovely. Their drinks were delicious. We each had a Paloma, which if you have ever had a Paloma, you know that they can be kind of hit or miss. And they were really good. So we had an appetizer, 2 meals that we shared, just so we could each taste both things, and then each had a drink. Um, and like I said, it was a little cha-ching, but it was really fun. It was really fun to go to see the diving show. They don't have the whole gorilla thing anymore. For those of you that have been there, they used to have a whole gorilla thing with the show. They don't have that anymore. The divers dive, um, and it's a pretty short little presentation, and then they move on to something else, and they announce a puppet show or whatever. Magic. There's a magic show. Anyway, so it's pretty neat. We really enjoyed it. We were glad we went, and we had a good time. And like I said, it was really fun to see it kind of all freshened up. But it's the same place. It's the same place that it always was. So for anybody who's concerned about going, who maybe is a huge fan and is a little bit worried that it's not going to be the place that they remember, it is. It's very much the same in a lot of ways, and it definitely I feel like they did a great job of keeping it Casa Bonita. So anyway, that was one of the places we went last weekend, and like I said, I plan to keep this video pretty short because I'm pretty exhausted and I'm ready to head to bed. You probably even hear it in my voice. But I'm ready to head to bed here in a little bit. But I wanted to make sure I didn't miss my video for this week, and that you all had something to open up if that's what you're looking for. So anyway, that's my review of the freshened up version of Casa Bonita, and I think they did a great job. And overall, I would say definitely like 4.5 stars out of 5, and only because there's always room for improvement in everything you do, and the food was a little pricey. However, I do see why it was. It was super quick. Like I said, we didn't even have time to finish our appetizer, and it was just chips and queso. It's not like it was an involved appetizer. As soon as we ordered, within a few minutes, it was at our table. So yeah, it was great. I would say I definitely would recommend. And if you have been holding off because you're not really sure, you should try it out. It's just like the old one. So really fun. I hope you have a really good week, and I will see you next week. Thanks, guys.